Stranger Things season 4. I feel like everybody has been not only talking about this season of Stranger Things, but praising the hell out of this season of Stranger Things. Many people saying it's the best season of the show. And I just want to say that I also really enjoyed season 4. I was thoroughly amused, thoroughly entertained, and at many times on the edge of my seat from a lot of this suspense and horror going on. 11, poor 11, getting bullied. And this is hardcore bullying. This feels like this show, the Duffer Brothers, were like, let's pay homage to Stephen King films where bullies are damn near murderers or psychopaths or just the type of pranks and the type of things that they pull on other kids virtually for no reason. I would not have blamed 11 at all if she did have her powers at that time and if she did some messed up stuff. Even in the roller derby scene where they embarrass her in front of everyone and 11 just loses it and smashes the roller blade on Angela's face, again, she deserves it. I don't get why people were looking at 11 like she was crazy, why even Mike was questioning 11 the way that he was. No, Angela was a bitch. She was a terrible, terrible character, and I was fully behind 11. Speaking of Mike, Mike was just kind of here this entire season for a character that really did feel like the main character in season 1. It's interesting with how every season since then, his role has gotten less and less and less. Even though Will tried to put over the fact that Mike is supposedly the heart of the group, a nice moment, a nice sentiment, but I don't feel like Mike is the heart of the group anymore. Also, Will clearly has feelings for Mike, which is something that I thought was maybe hinted at last season, and they really put it out there this season. I think that, look, if Mike doesn't share those feelings, obviously he doesn't. He's into 11, but for him not to realize that Will has these feelings, that Will was clearly crying right in front of him, it just Mike's kind of a bad friend alongside being a bad boyfriend. Jonathan and Argyle. Argyle is another new character that I feel like everybody was sort of praising and saying how funny he was and what a great humorous character. I never got into Argyle. Never. Not once. Every time he spoke, I sort of rolled my eyes. Every time he tried to be a Cheech and Chong like character, it just felt very stereotypical. It felt very, and like I wasn't offended. I just didn't find him amusing. Him and Jonathan just being stoners, and that's just sort of what Jonathan has become now. This is another character that felt very important, felt like a main character in season 1, and now I wouldn't care if Jonathan was killed off. That's how low he has been on the other characters' levels. He's just there. He had one really great scene at the end with Will when at least Jonathan noticed what Will was going through and tried to bond with him. That was the one time where I said, okay, fine, Jonathan is a real character. But everything with him pushing Nancy away, him not telling Nancy about getting into a different college, I don't know. I don't really get what's going on with this dude. And by the way, Brenner is still alive? How the hell did that happen? I'm pretty sure at the end of season 1, a Demigorgon like jumped on him, didn't it? Like, wasn't he supposed to be ripped apart in that facility? But I get it. Brenner is a very fascinating character, especially in relation to 11, given what 11 ends up going through in this season, her trying to get her powers back, her going back and having to go through her memories, relive a lot of moments that we did not see of her, having that aspect to him to where he feels very much like a father figure to 11, while at the same time not treating these kids like a father should. He was very much using them for his own personal gain. Seeing Hopper in Russia. So I had some issues with this. I am ultimately glad that Hopper is still alive because I really like the Hopper character. He was one of my favorite characters. I was very upset when I thought they killed him last season. But we just spent so much time with him in Russia, seeing him be tortured, seeing him just be brutalized by these guards, and it was depressing, you know? And I'm not saying we were supposed to feel good about it, but it just got to a point, episode after episode, of just felt like the same thing. It wasn't until that one guard that was trying to help him, sure, for a payout, but he was trying to help him break out, and then that guard ended up getting caught and thrown in the prison with him. And then when it was revealed that demigorgons are in Russia in this prison as well, that's where things picked up. That's where I got most intrigued. I still think we could have gotten to these points faster. Joyce and Murray trying to go to Russia to save Hopper, I like the idea of that too, and I very much like that Winona Ryder had her own side plot of something of importance to do. But at the same time, Murray, he was amusing. I did find myself enjoying a lot of his scenes and moments, but there were also times where it felt too comedic. It felt too disconnected from everything else going on in the show. Everything else was more serious. I thought some of the other characters, maybe the humor wasn't as over the top. Vecna. Let's talk about the main villain, this creature, this thing that they call Vecna. I loved Vecna. He was creepy, he was scary, he looked so intimidating. He had such a memorable creature design, the way that he talked, the way that he moved, when he's able to get into your minds. Freddy Krueger-like vibes for sure. It only made sense that Robert Englund himself played a big part of this character's past. But Vecna, the way how he killed these kids, mind you, kids, teenagers, he ripped their limbs apart. He ripped their eyes out. Like, this was brutal. Some of the most brutal kills, I think, of the entire series. And he felt like a real threat. Sure, a lot of the other monsters, a lot of the other creatures felt like threats as well, but Vecna had a personality. Vecna wasn't just a mindless beast. Vecna was somebody who had a plan. He had a vision. He had a goal. Episode 4, when Vecna goes after Max, that was one of the best episodes of the season because Max, yes, I felt bad for Max in season 2 with her and her brother. I really got to like her in season 3 because of her friendship with 11. But season 4 is where I got to fall in love with Max. I mean, I really rooted for her. I really felt for her going through her guilt and depression. And this is how I knew that I did not want her to die. Running Up That Hill has become a song that I've been listening to on my playlist ever since this episode. Steve and Dustin continue to be the best characters of this show. Anytime they get paired up, anytime they interact, anytime they bounce off of each other. See, this is the humor that I think works best with the show. It never feels forced. It never feels over the top. It never takes me out of everything going on, the dangers. No, like, these characters feel like real friends and real people going through what they're going through. And especially Steve, I can't believe how much he went from season 1 being an unlikable dude, but his character arc, full circle. Him and Nancy, I cannot believe that I'm finding myself actually wanting Steve and Nancy to get back together. Nancy as well, I was getting to a point last season where I didn't think I cared as much about Nancy. She just felt like she was just there to be there. Her and Jonathan as a couple have just really dried up for me. So seeing her be more badass, be more on her own, and interacting with, honestly, the best characters of the show. Robin is another character that I really enjoyed last season, but in this season. She was more likable, more lovable, more funny and awkward. You had these jocks who were more friends with Lucas, the basketball team. Jason was going around looking for a new character, Eddie, because they think that Eddie is the one that killed the girlfriend. Eddie's a character. Episode 1, I didn't know what I was going to feel about Eddie because he was a dude that had stayed back a few years, and it felt like he thought he was cool, but ultimately he wasn't really cool, or maybe he'd be more of a loser type dude. And I don't know, I was undecided on how I would feel about him. But once he went on the run, once you saw how vulnerable he was, how scared he was, once you saw the group trying to protect him and do what they were doing for him, and especially him getting his guitar solo and a lot of moments that happened with Eddie towards the end, I ended up loving Eddie. The way how this season ends with the upside down crossing over into the real world, like, this shocked me. I couldn't believe that the show had the balls to push everything this far. Clearly, season 5 is the final season. They've already said that. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea how hard they're going to go and how this is all going to wrap up. Hopefully, it sticks the landing. Hopefully, if season 5 is at this same level as the other seasons have been, Stranger Things might go down as one of the best shows of all time. I even enjoyed the longer format. I know some people might have complained that each episode was too long or that the finale was too long, but I dug it. It made each episode feel more cinematic. It made it feel like there was so much more characters and story that had to be told. It made it feel bigger. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of Stranger Things Season 4? Did you like it? Did you love it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.